If you like empanadas, I've got a great recipe for you. This one's stuffed with spinach and my homemade tofu. It's also oil-free and gluten-free. Absolutely delicious. And today, I'm going to show you how to make your own. All right, so today we're going to be making some delicious empanadas. Now, I've already done one recipe with empanadas, and I stuffed it with a combination of lentils, mushrooms, and walnuts, and a little tomato sauce. Really good. So you can check that video out also if you want a different variation. But today, we're going to be doing a spinach and tofu stuffed empanada. Now, I'm going to start with some tofu that I made myself. Now, I have a few different tofu alternatives here on my page. I have one that I've done with mung beans, one I've done with pumpkin seeds, and one that I've actually done with organic soybeans. So if you're someone who wants an alternative for soy, you can check out any of those recipes. I'm going to link them all in the description below the video. But I'm going to start with this homemade tofu that I made here. Okay, so we have our tofu. Along with that, I'm going to use some onions, some coconut aminos, some nutritional yeast. We're going to use a couple cloves of garlic, some jalapeno peppers, some smoked paprika, and then some cumin. And then, of course, we're going to use some spinach. So these are ingredients that are going to make a delicious, delicious filling for these empanadas. We're going to start by putting these together. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to get my onions, my garlic, and my jalapeno peppers sauteing here. And once I get them softened, I'll start adding the other ingredients to complete the filling.
Okay, so to do this, I'm going to start by adding a little water to my pan. Now, I like to use water to replace oil for recipes like this. Now, once my onions and jalapenos have softened, I'm going to use my hands to crumble my tofu into the pan. Then I'm going to add my coconut aminos and other seasonings to the mix and let that cook to bring the flavors together. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my spinach, and once I have it all in the pan, I'm covering it until the spinach starts to soften. Then I'm going to continue to cook it until the moisture at the bottom of the pan cooks off.
All right, I hope you're enjoying the recipe so far. Now, I want to take a quick minute to talk about a topic that I get a lot of questions about, which is supplementation. Now, it's important to know that there's some essential vitamins and minerals that could be difficult to get in adequate amounts on a plant-based diet, and that supplementation may help maintain optimal levels. Now, to complement my plant-based diet, I take the Complement Essential Vitamin. It's been designed specifically to complement a plant-based diet containing 8 vitamins and minerals that play a vital role in how we feel both short and long term by supporting energy levels, regulating metabolism, supporting immunity, heart and brain health, and so much more. And another thing I like is that it's an all-in-one supplement, which means you don't have to go out and buy several bottles to cover your supplement needs. Now, I partner with Complement to offer you a 15% discount on Essential or any of their products by using code HEALTHYVEGAN. So check out the descriptions below for the details. Let's get back to the recipe. Okay, so now it's time to put together the crust. Let's talk about what we're going to use to do that. We're going to use some almond flour here. We're going to use some ground flax, some turmeric, some arrowroot powder, and some water. Now, what you don't see here are salt and baking powder, but you could use those, particularly if you want a lighter crust, then you could use some baking powder. And if you want a little bit, of more of a salty flavor, you could add some salt. Now, in the recipe, I'm going to add the amounts of salt and baking powder that I know will work. And if you want to use it, you can. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. I'm fine with the texture, not using either, and the flavor. Now, also for those of you who are concerned about baking powder and baking soda, in my Healthy Vegan app at hveating.com, I have a homemade baking powder that's really, really clean. It's a really good baking powder if you want to use baking powder. And also break down the brands of baking soda and baking powder that I think are the best according to, by where they're sourced and the process that they undergo. So you can check that out in my Healthy Vegan app at hveating.com. All right, let's start putting our crust together. Then we'll get our filling in and get these in the oven.
Something I forgot to mention is that I do discuss the topic of baking soda and baking powder in my Make Your Own cookbook. I also have a recipe for homemade baking powder, so if you have a copy, you can get the info there. If you don't have my cookbook, I'll include the info for my cookbook and my app in the description below the video.
All right, so now I've got my dough formed into a nice ball here. Now I want to roll it out in half, so I'm just going to cut this in half and roll half of it now. And once I get one half rolled out into our crust, then I'll do the other half into the rest of the crust.
If you're enjoying this video, Please like and subscribe below.
Okay, so now I've got my dough rolled out here. Now it's time to get it cut so that we can form our individual pieces of crust. Now I'm going to use a 6-inch bowl here. If you have a bowl that's about 6 inches, traditionally that's about the size you want to use. You can make them a little larger if you want it, a little smaller if you want, but this is about perfect to me. So I'm going to use this as my mold. I'm just going to put it here and then use my knife to cut around it. Okay, so now I've got my dough rolled and cut. My filling is cool, so now it's just a matter of getting them stuffed.
Okay, when adding your filling, you want to make sure to leave about a 1/2 inch of space around the edge so you can seal your empanada. Now you also want to make sure not to add too much filling because this will make it difficult to close an empanada without tearing the dough. Now once you have all the empanadas filled, you'll place them on your baking sheet and poke them with a fork.
Okay, so I've got them finished. I'm going to put them in the freezer for about 20 minutes, take them out into the oven, and then bring them out for a taste. Okay, our empanadas are done and looking great. I'm going to give one a try now. And I'm dipping this in my homemade cilantro lime sauce. One of my favorite sauces, should go perfectly with these. So good. This is great. Gotta try them. All right, if you're new to my channel and you're wondering how to find the recipes, look below the video and tap on the word more and you'll see the beginning of the recipe. Tap on the word more a second time and you'll see the full recipe, and then you can begin to make your own. Thanks for watching.